Hello everyone and welcome to episode 57 of the HooperCast. I'm Mr. Hooper. This is Mr. Dustin.
Hello.
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 Oh my god.
Oh my.
Dustin, real quick, I thought I'd spring this on you. I don't know if you've seen or heard this before, but have you heard of this this mashup that someone did of John Lennon's Imagine and Smash Mouth's All-Star?
I have not.
Allow me to...
Yes, please.
Now, I'll say, let me preface this. Everyone who's heard it has said it's horrifying, but I think it sounds pretty awesome. So, I don't know, let's see. Let me see if this plays. It's kind of funny, actually, when it starts.
It sounds so sad.
I know, it's so profound now.
If you don't go, never shine if you don't know. That's amazing.
Yeah, it eventually gets the whistling, which, let me see if I can... Let me turn this shit down here. Alright, I'll turn it down for a second. So... I think that's awesome. Everyone else is like,
I didn't expect it to be, like, them to modulate their voices so low.
Right, I guess they had to, since they had to slow the tempo down, it just kind of, like...
Yeah.
It stretched it, yeah, it's... I'll never look at the song the same way again, either of them,
No.
really.
No.
But, because I thought we were just listening to Imagine when I heard it on another podcast. And I was just like, why are we playing Imagine that heard somebody? I was like, oh, whoa. And I kept listening and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Alright, hang on.
That's awesome.
Here comes the, Alright, well, sorry. There's the chorus again, of course.
This makes this song seem like it's about something now.
What?
It makes the song seem like it's about something now. Like it's an important statement.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I heard that, and I was like, that's worth mentioning, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, anyway.
That's awesome.
If anyone wants to find that, at least it's on the internet, it's called Imagine All... It says... Wait, no, well... forgot because the stupid tab closed. It's called Imagine All-Star People. I prefer Imagine You're an All-Star, but
yes,
that's what I googled at least. But
gotcha.
It's actually called a less cool name.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, all right. Well, anyway, podcast universe. It is Cinco de Mayo.
It's your birthday.
It's my birthday.
It's Hooper's birthday.
Oh yes.
Everybody wish him a happy birthday.
Woo! Yeah, I left work 20 minutes early today. I picked up my daughter early, and I just sat in my living room and played Batman, and then took a nap.
That sounds like an amazing day.
It was really great. Because I didn't know what else to do. I mean, I couldn't go anywhere, and I couldn't...
Right.
I had a few limitations and already set up, so I was like, okay, well, what do I want to do with my day? I can't really spend any money, and I don't really have the time to do anything big or plan anything. And my wife's at work, and so I was like, okay, well, it's Monday, so I'm off of the station, so I'll be home this evening. So that ended up being a treat. I was fully resigned to the fact that I'd be working on my birthday. But it turns out it wasn't, just by virtue of it's my day off.
Awesome.
So I was like, well, what do I want to do? And I thought, I want
to be Batman.
I want to be Batman. I just want to do something incredibly self-indulgent, and all I can really afford is to play video games and buy buy beer.
Yep.
And
Are you playing Arkham Origins?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was I just got to the park where you meet the Joker.
Ah, yes.
Because I haven't played the game in a while. So I had some time recently, so I was knocking that out.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then I played a couple of rounds of Call of Duty, and then I just fell asleep.
Nice.
Because I kept looking over at Amelia, and she was still asleep in her car seat from the daycare. And every time I see her sleep, like right now she's asleep, and it makes me want to sleep.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that's how I get to sleep at night so easily, is because she's asleep.
Because she's asleep,
Yeah. And I think it's like a Pavlov's dog of parenting.
Sure.
Is that as soon as the baby, the phrase is, when baby sleeps, you sleep. When baby sleeps, you sleep. So, whenever the baby's asleep, your brain's saying, like, okay, well, now's your chance.
Right.
Hurry, no one's looking, run. Like, it's basically that. It's so, maybe that's why it happened.
Yeah.
I just remember I woke up to, like, a billion text messages, and I forgot where I was, and I was on my couch, and, yeah, under a Lion King blanket. No, it's comfy.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, we have got some stuff to catch up on. All right, Dustin, I'm gonna call an audible.
Okay.
Real quick. I am going to say, why don't we do the retro reviews first? Because Jesus Christ, we've been teasing them so much.
I know, for real.
So why don't we do that first, and then we'll get to the more recent stuff toward the end. I've only got like an hour or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
So anyway, we got some old. Retro reviews.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me keep listening.
Extra, come and get it.
This and that. Lots of fun. Alright, shut up. You're not alive anymore. Alright.
How do you know? You could be very old.
Well, this is recorded in 1929, so.
Oh, well. Yeah.
If she's dead, if she's alive, then. Bravo.
Yeah, for real.
Alright, we have, at least by this outdated Google Doc. Oh, you added to it, okay. Right? Yes,
I did.
That. Okay,
yes.
I can tell. Alright, so we got 5 movies.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's start with Dr. Strangelove.
Alright.
That seems like a movie that, like, if you're into movies, you should have already seen this somehow. Mm-hmm. Like you should just be born having seen this, because every time you're like, oh, I haven't seen that, everyone's like, what?
Yeah.
How are you alive?
Even my dad did that to me.
Yeah,
like that's why I bought it, because my dad peer pressured me into it, and then
into seeing it. Yeah,
maybe it's a weird rebellion that I haven't seen it.
Yeah, exactly. There's a few movies like that. Like if you're ever like, oh, I haven't seen Pulp Fiction, everyone, like, time freezes.
Yeah,
and everyone's like, oh my god, stop what you're doing right now, because we're watching this 8 times in a row.
I think my dad's also the one who made me see Pulp Fiction. Actually.
Oh well, there you go.
He's had a very subtle but restrained, a very subtle influence over the movies I see.
Yeah.
I guess I'm realizing.
John made me watch Pulp Fiction.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, junior year. So anyway, but I watched Dr. Strangelove. I thought it was really good. I mean, well, I thought it was good. I think it's overrated. Mm-hmm. I've never been the biggest fan of Stanley Kubrick, but whatever. I mean, it's a good movie. It's not a waste of your time, but it is overrated, I think. And it's funny. It still holds up. It's just, maybe it was just me, but that movie's been built into such an iconic, staple of cinema that I think probably now you're bound to be let down by it. But, you know, it's not bad, and it's certainly not a waste of time. But if you haven't seen it, you know, it's not like I'm going to stop time and be like, no. But I'm just going to be like, oh, well, you know, if you get around to it, check it out.
Yeah, this
That's
is
sort of
on my queue, and I have it on DVD, and I I keep passing it because I'm always just like, I feel like I'm supposed to pay like attention to this, and every time I get a chance to see it, I'm always doing something else.
Right. Yeah, as far as movies I have on DVD, there's still a couple that I haven't watched that I own. One of which we'll get to in a minute is Raging Bull.
Okay.
But I did finally watch that. But
why don't we get to it right now?
Okay, we can do that. If that's what you want to do, Hooper.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, I've owned it for quite a while. I bought it when Blockbuster was going out of business for like $1.
Yikes.
And so I've just had it sitting on my shelf for forever, and I keep saying, I need to watch that. And then when I have the free time, I'm like, nah, I'm good.
No.
But yeah, you've seen this one too, right?
I have, yes. I saw that you had seen it, and so I figured I'd
knock
see
it out. Okay. Well, what did you think, Hooper?
This was like my third attempt to watch this movie because I found at least the first act really, really boring. I don't know if it was maybe it was the way it was paced or whatnot. But I chipped away because I was just like, well, it's still I need to see the whole thing. I mean, if I could, this movie makes sense on paper, so I feel like
right.
You know, and I ended up really liking it. I probably wouldn't. It doesn't have a lot of rewatch value for me, but I was glad I saw it all the way through because it was a good film.
Okay. Well, see, let me play the devil's advocate for a minute. I actually didn't care much for it. If you go to my Tumblr page, you'll see a breakdown of sort of how I rank movies. And this probably gets about a 5, which is about as low as I would go for a movie that... well, for any movie, I mean, generally 5 is the starting point. You have to do something really special to get below a 5. So, in other words, this movie's very average to me. And again, it's one of these that's built into, like, you know, a staple of cinema that you have to see. And I can understand it. I mean, it's got artistry written all over it. The problem for me is, and this is true for a few things that Scorsese has done. I feel like it's like there's no closure in the movie for me. And so because it kind of ends when I feel like it's not over, or it ends when I'm kind of down, I tend to, you know, it taints that whole experience, really. And so while the movie itself isn't a bad movie, and it's certainly not like, you know, artless, it's just not rewatchable to me, and I didn't really have fun with it, really. I mean, it's about a guy who kind of just slowly messes his life up.
Yeah.
And those kind of things generally interest me. So the fact that this one didn't, you know, I can't quite put my finger on it, but maybe it's just that the characters just were unlikable kind of throughout, and they never started from a place of likability for me. Or, you know, maybe it's just that he continually shows, you know, little to no remorse for anything that is happening.
Yeah.
And then the movie ends, and you kind of still feel like he hasn't changed or become a better person. You know, it just kind of taints the whole thing to me. And so I don't know. Maybe that's just, you know, like I said, it's my sensibilities of film watching. But I would actually just say skip this one. It's not a bad movie, but it's not one of Scorsese's best.
It's not a must-see.
To me. I mean, I know there are people that say this is his best. You know, it's not for me. No. It's just not. You know, this goes along really well with Taxi Driver. I didn't care much for Taxi Driver, and I felt like the two of these movies are kind of similar.
Yeah.
and so maybe. I don't know. It's a really hard thing to put your finger on, but I like Scorsese, but he does have a tendency to make these movies that kind of leave me wanting more or wanting to, I don't know, kill myself.
Yeah.
So it's like, that it kind of ruins the whole experience of the movie for me. So if you enjoy this movie, my hat's off to you, and I can understand why you like it, because it is a well-made movie. It's just not for me.
Yeah, to clarify, I ended up liking it better than I thought I would from the beginning.
Sure.
But overall, I mean, I agree with every single point you have. It's the comparison to Taxi Driver is particularly on point, because I felt the same way about the two. Actually, I felt better about this one, but because of Taxi Driver at the end, I was just like, what's
what was the point?
Well, yeah, why did I do that? Why did I do that?
Yeah. Right.
So, this didn't have at least I saw that this what they were attempting to do with the character, but I just thought of the Wolf of Wall Street. In the Wolf of Wall Street, it's you're exploring another character who's not a great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a loose comparison, but and at the end of the movie, he hasn't changed really. Mm-hmm. But the difference is, it seems to be the point that he didn't change, and it's him narrating or whatever. This seemed like, at the end of it, you're supposed to have some sort of feeling that he's remorseful. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, it was really only... I mean, even the real Jake LaMotta didn't really show any remorse for his actions until he saw this movie.
Right, exactly.
So it's like, all right, well, so I know for a fact that while this is being made, the real guy's out there being an asshole somewhere,
Right, exactly.
I would like to point out this. I didn't know this that Martin Scorsese used to have a cocaine addiction, and at this time, and Robert De Niro is the one who convinced him to make this movie, and this one is really kind of what got his career started.
Right, sure.
I think Mean Streets was before this, wasn't it?
Yes, I think it was before.
Right. So I didn't know that. I remember thinking, well, this movie is very necessary. It's a very important part of his career then, if it,
right.
But,
I'm going to double check on that.
Other than that, it's, kind of insignificant in the whole spectrum. I mean, it's my, I would say Taxi Driver is my least favorite Scorsese film.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Followed by this, followed by Hugo. And then all the other ones I really like.
I gotcha.
So yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree. I mean, this and Taxi Driver really only exist to me as examples of look what good shape Robert De Niro was in.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And that's about it. The rest of it's like a boring, an exploration of how boring can we make a boring subject, or an interesting subject rather.
Well, let me pose a question to you. I have not seen The Wolf of Wall Street for a number of reasons, but one of them is that it seems very much like a Scorsese character in the vein of Taxi Driver and Raging Bull, and because I don't care for those movies, I assumed I would not care for Wolf of Wall Street. Is that a correct assumption?
It's a completely different kind of movie. All I can really say, I guess, is that it's infinitely more watchable.
Okay.
It's long. There's a lot of improv, but to me, it didn't break it up at all. Like, he probably could have cut time out of it, but the whole thing to me is insanely easy to watch.
Right. Okay.
And of all his films, I thought the most about Casino, I guess, with Wolf of Wall Street. But I mean, he's narrating and he's breaking the fourth wall and stuff. I don't really think that happens in many other movies he's done.
Right. No.
I really liked Wolf of Wall Street. Okay. So yeah, it's nothing like this movie. So if you'd like to cleanse your palate,
okay, I got you.
While trying something new, maybe I would recommend Wolf of Wall Street.
All right, good deal.
All right. What's another one you got?
So I've got The Searchers.
John Wayne.
John Wayne.
Bobbitt.
This is a really good movie, actually. It's a very simple movie. I mean, the plot is just this girl gets taken and so they go get her. You know what I mean? It's like it's Taken, but it's a Western and less violent.
I would love for them to just make Taken
Wouldn't that be
Western
awesome?
with Liam Neeson.
That would be awesome. Spin it off of A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Yeah, do a double feature.
Yes. But yeah, The Searchers, I mean, it's a really good movie, a really solid movie. It touches on a few things that were probably pretty dark and edgy for their time. You know, I mean, John Wayne, I know there's a group of people out there that never have liked him, but I've always found him charismatic, and I enjoy him and his movies. And yeah, I mean, I enjoyed The Searchers. There are a few parts in The Searchers that I had to pause it because I was laughing so hard. Now, that's not to say that it was a funny moment on purpose, because all of the moments that I laughed at like that were, you know, not supposed to be as funny as I found them. There's a moment where two guys are fighting over this girl, and one of the guys does the highest high kick you've ever seen a cowboy do, and so he kicks a guy in the face with just one leg. And so he doesn't jump or anything. It's just like one leg straight up in the air. And for whatever reason, I busted out laughing at that. And there's a few moments like that where I just went crazy laughing. And so for that reason, I have to say this movie's really high up there because it's so watchable. Okay. Like you just have fun with it. And even the things that, you know, aren't supposed to be funny but are, I mean, that just kind of adds to it. I mean, we always found different bits in Harry Potter funny, and they weren't supposed to be funny. Yeah. And this is sort of along those same lines. It's just hilarious things, like whenever they, I don't want to spoil anything, but anyway, the point is, it's a funny movie. It's a fun movie. It's simple. You know, don't go in expecting like to be challenged. Yeah, it's a fun movie, and yeah, it's a good movie. And actually, the reason I watched it was Vince Gilligan. I heard him talking in an interview about the end of Breaking Bad, and talking about the inspiration that The Searchers had on the end of Breaking Bad. I can see what he's talking about. I think he's kind of self-deprecating a little bit because he feels like he stole the ending from The Searchers. And I didn't see it as blatantly as he probably does, but he's just, you know, being a writer and being really critical of his own thing. Yeah. But yeah, if you go into it kind of looking for it, I guess you can kind of see it. But yeah, no. So essentially, Vince Gilligan inspired me to watch this, and yeah, it was a good movie.
Oh, sweet. Good.
Now you've got a Western as well, correct?
I do have a Western. I saw, like 2 months ago, I saw Magnificent Seven. Because you had seen The Seven Samurai, and so of course this was like a remake of it that they did like a few years later. Wasn't that long?
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
And really, from what I can remember at this point, this movie's long. I think Seven Samurai is long too.
Yeah, it is.
But I tend to like any movie that has like you know, a group of unique individuals who are kind of brought together for a single purpose. So
yeah.
And of course, this is one of those films where all those people are played by famous actors of the time. So you got like Charles Bronson, you got Steve McQueen, and James Coburn, and a bunch of other people. Oh, gross! What are you throwing up on my arm for, yo? So of course I can imagine that at the time that was... Stop spitting up. Uh-oh. We might have a problem here, Dustin. Why don't we just put this bib on you and I can stop... Okay? I think I heard okay. So I can imagine at the time that just was probably awesome. Like, you know,
yeah.
This is a bad example, but kind of like Ocean's 11. This is like, oh, wow, there's all those, you know, all these actors and they're all friends and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, except I read that Yul Brynner didn't like Steve McQueen, and they're like the main two partners in the film.
Right. Yeah.
But I kept hearing that like Steve McQueen kept like chewing. I read that he would chew the scenery on purpose to piss off Yul Brynner to make himself more watchable, basically to draw attention to him in the shot.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm just sort of like, well, anyone who gets upset about that shouldn't be acting, to be honest.
Right. Yeah.
And Steve McQueen's awesome, so shut up.
Exactly.
The only reason I know who you are, Yul Brynner, is because I saw Cool Runnings and they referenced you. And then I saw this film, so I know you from that as well. But
yeah.
So I think this was just after The Great Escape or right before it. But a lot of these actors appeared in that too. Anyway, it's solid. I mean, again, it's not something I could watch again and again, but it's working off the framework of another movie, so it's hard for me to judge it because I haven't, it's at this point the premise itself, the conceit is played out, so to me it's nothing new, but again, at the time, it was probably awesome. So I liked it just fine, and it's a very simple story, and 12 or 12 guys. There's a reason it's called Magnificent Seven.
Yes.
I'm thinking of the Dirty Dozen. These seven dudes decide like they're gonna go protect this town from these jerks who wanna. It's pretty much a Bug's Life. It's so the grasshoppers want to come and release off the Mexicans, and then Flick and the circus bugs come in and say no.
Yeah.
Except these guys come in and they're what?
I never thought about that, man.
That's what I was thinking of. I was just like, this is the Bug's Life.
Oh my god, I haven't seen Bug's Life in so long, but
now
wow.
But that's basically what it is.
Wow.
It's the Magnificent Seven.
Wow, that's awesome. I have so much more respect for that movie now.
Or I guess the Seven Samurai. But So maybe double feature those.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Magnificent Seven. So
awesome.
I intend to do the Seven Samurai at some point.
Yeah. Okay. I recommend it.
And you got one more?
I've got one more. It's been a while since I've seen this, so I don't remember a whole lot about it. But it's called The Apartment. It's a Billy Wilder movie. Basically, it's about a guy who he works as a typist at this big, firm or whatever, and so he lends his apartment out to various people at the firm for them to have trysts in, and then they'll leave his apartment. So basically, he runs like a little hotel, like he puts out snacks for them and everything, but it's just a way to supplement his income, and and then complications ensue. I mean, it's a good movie. The screenplay is really awesome, actually. There's some great dialogue, and it's structured really, really, really well. I recommend it for screenwriters. Beyond that, I mean, I think there are plenty of other Billy Wilder movies to sink your teeth into, like Sunset Boulevard or Witness for the Prosecution. Those are really phenomenal movies, and this is really great in terms of screenplay. But probably you can skip it for any other reason. But yeah.
That's it for retro reviews. My side of town. Sing. The private town. Just sing the boxing dog. Just bring the summer down. We need to cut a record.
We should.
Kermit sings oldies. Alright. Okay, we're doing okay on time. Alright, so you've seen 4 movies lately, and we're gonna have to just do them in a row because I've seen no movies lately. I've seen I've seen nothing lately. Movie wise, I almost saw X-Men today, but then I remembered it wasn't out in theaters. So
yes,
I could not.
You could have gone and seen Spider-Man.
I thought about it, and we've talked about this. I feel like on principle I just shouldn't. But but damn if the trailers don't look really good. And
Well,
the fact that the suit is all correct now just visually tells me it's okay.
yeah,
But I'm also like, well, it's my birthday though, so if it sucks, I'm gonna be really pissed off.
yeah,
And I really,
That's true.
it really can just wait. And
Yeah.
everything I've heard about is that it's good, but all those people liked the first one better than the Raimi movies. So I feel like I have
Yeah.
no foundation for. I just can't judge it. So
yeah.
what does it have on Rotten Tomatoes?
That's a good question.
It's a great question, but I didn't ask it earlier, like days ago, when I was thinking about this.
It has a 54.
Okay, so it can't be that, but the first one had like a 20 or something, didn't it?
I thought it had like an 80 something.
Oh shit. Man, maybe it's really bad then. Or it's really good. I don't know.
The,
See,
the
you know
first
what I
one
mean?
had a 73.
Okay, see, and we thought that was garbage. So
Yeah.
does a 50 whatever 54? Does
Yeah.
that mean it's like in our eyes? Would that be worse, or does that mean it's a step in the right direction and no one, just public, doesn't like it?
Right. I
You know
don't
what I mean?
know. Yeah. I don't know.
I just feel like I shouldn't, but I feel like it because it's like, oh, it's a Spider-Man movie in theaters. Like, why don't I want to go see it? Again, it's just muscle memory. It's like I should go. It's May.
Right.
Go see Spider-Man.
This is the only Spider-Man movie I have not seen on opening weekend. And in fact, I think it's the only one I haven't seen on opening day.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, no, I didn't go see it. I just felt like I shouldn't give them my money on opening weekend because I don't approve.
Well, and if it sucks, then you've done no one any favors.
Right. And
It's kind of like when you
but
don't complain about
it made
shitty
like
service.
$92 million anyway.
Yeah.
Outgrossed the last one on opening weekend. So my statement was not made, essentially. But I don't know. I have such mixed feelings about it because I feel like, with that cast minus Jamie Foxx, like it could be a really, really good movie.
Yeah.
But the fact that it just doesn't interest me at all means something's wrong, and it's either just lingering like hatred of the last one, or I don't know. But I love Spider-Man. And
Oh yeah. And to me, there's so much still. I mean, they're continuing. I mean, they're displaying it, and it's an inherent fact that there's so much cinematic potential for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Especially with modern special effects and just everything we can do now. Like the sky's the limit.
yeah.
Literally and figuratively for Spider-Man. So I'm always going to be interested in seeing him on film, but I don't want to invest my time and money into a character that they've made me hate, that I'm supposed to like. So,
That's right.
in my opinion, there's still time for them to turn that around, and we can just kind of retcon the first one.
Yeah.
Like, if
Right.
let's say they make 4 of these things.
Yeah.
If they can make this one and the third one and the fourth one good, I'll give it the whole thing an overall thumbs up. I just won't
That's
ever
right.
watch the first one. Because
Right,
I don't need
exactly.
his origin story, especially if it sucks.
Right.
But if half the movies are bad, I can't really hop on, because then it's like, well, to get the whole story, you got to watch them all, but half of them suck. So what are you really
Right.
doing here? So
That's right.
It's like I said, it looks good, but I just don't want to watch it and just be like, oh, okay, he's still a dick,
Yeah.
and
I mean, you can tell that from the trailers to me.
yeah. And I think to them, they think it makes him like more likable and clever because he's so witty. But it's just like, to me, it's just like being on the internet.
It is. No, that's exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
And I was talking about this with John the other day about in the trailer. There's the line where Peter goes, Aunt May comes in and he's all covered in soot or whatever, and she's like, "What happened to your face?" And he goes, "I was cleaning the chimney." And she's like, "We don't have a chimney." And he goes, "What?" And so it's like, it's supposed to be like a witty moment, right? And I guess it's funny. I mean, it's not a bad delivery, but the problem is, like, Peter Parker's smart. Like, why would he think that excuse would work? You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna overthink everything. That's what that tells me. Just from that trailer, like, I know, okay, I'm gonna overthink everything that this guy says.
Yeah.
and so I'm probably not going to enjoy it, and it's going to be my fault. I mean, it's not like they're making me overthink it, but at the same time, they could just write the character correctly,
Right.
So I don't know. It's ridiculous, but I did go back and rewatch Spider-Man 2 over the weekend. The actual Spider-Man 2, and I just want to say this: good luck casting someone better than Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus.
Oh yeah,
because I think they've pretty much confirmed him for this series. So I just want to say good luck, Mark Webb, because I don't know who you're going to get. I really don't. But I still love Spider-Man 2. When you think back on Spider-Man 2, there's not a lot of like action sequences in it, but the ones that exist are awesome, like the train sequence and stuff.
Yeah,
really cool. But all the action's really earned in that movie. Like none of it's just okay. We've had 10 pages of dialogue. Now we need action.
Right.
So anyway, that's another conversation.
Yeah, I intend to rent it. Because I feel like I should see it.
I'll end up seeing it in theaters. I'm sure I'll probably see it this week, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the first movie you got up for us?
Okay, so these are going to be... I can hit these pretty quick, I think.
Okay.
The first one is Hunger Games: Catching Fire, which I rented on Redbox. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, this is a lot better than the first one. Like, I feel like a lot better. It does still fall prey to some of the mistakes that I feel like existed in the first one. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they've been selected for the games, and now we have the obligatory 45 minutes of interviews. You know what I mean? And it slows everything down.
God.
Well, I'm it felt like 45
It's a lot.
minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot. But, now we have to go see Stanley Tucci, and he has to interview you, and then you have to go present yourself on a chariot, and you have to do all this stuff. And it's like, okay, can we just get to what matters? And I understand the point of all of that. Like, it does sort of set up the conflict, but it can be done so much quicker.
Or you got to break it up somehow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot you can do, and so it still falls prey to some of that. But it is, it's directed better. It's structured better. Everything seems to work better this time around. Mm-hmm. But, there again, it just falls prey to some of those same problems from the first one. But I assume that the next two are going to break that mold, because as I understand, there's not really a Hunger Games in the next two. So you wouldn't necessarily have to do interviews and whatnot.
Right.
I think the next two stand a good chance of being something really memorable. But for me, this is still a good movie, but it's still weighted down by some old problems. And but I will say this: the ending I liked. It felt like the season finale of season 1 of Lost to me, because it's like a cliffhanger and it makes you want more, but you don't feel like you've just sat through nothing.
Right.
So I enjoyed that.
All right.
Have you seen that one, Hooper?
No, I still have not seen it. I've had several chances, and I haven't had the time. I intended to because I liked the book, and but I'd heard the movie was done better this time. So
yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, it's on my list.
Okay. So the next movie is Anchorman 2: The Legend Continues. I can hit this one really quick. There are a few moments that are really funny, and I don't know. I felt like it was kind of unnecessary. The first one's good. This one just kind of adds on just for the sake of adding on, and you can tell the actors are having a good time. It just doesn't feel necessary. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It just feels a little too self-indulgent or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it does. basically, I mean, Ron Burgundy moves on to, like a 24-hour news network. And during the course of the movie, they really get a chance to, like, lampoon the state of modern news, which, so they do, like, we go now live to a car chase, whereas the news didn't do that back then. So doing stuff like that, I feel like it makes kind of a good statement about, just the way that we get news and the way that we indulge ourselves in news.
Yeah.
So anyway, for that reason, I feel like it has some depth to it, but in the end, I mean, it just feels sort of like they're repeating old things and, giving Steve Carell too much to do. I mean, I love Steve Carell, but Brick is a side character.
Yeah.
They give him a little too much in this. And, whatever. I mean, it's enjoyable, but I'm not going to go buy it. So. Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
they tried a little hard, maybe.
It's what?
Maybe they tried a little too hard. I don't know. Like, there's like a sequence where Ron Burgundy adopts a pet shark. You know what I mean? It's just that kind of stuff. Like, it's kind of funny on paper, but sometimes it's like you're trying really hard to make this guy seem epic.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but yeah, no, it's funny. So.
All right.
Yeah. The next one, I'll just go to another comedy, is 21 Jump Street. I never saw this until recently, so there's really not much I can add to it, but I love the crap out of this movie.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, it has a really unique comedic sensibility. Mm-hmm. Like, I know that's a lot of really fancy words to make me sound smart. But it does. I mean, like, when you look at, like, the Apatow formula, it's all... It varies itself, but it's still sort of that same brand of comedy.
Yeah. This
is different, like, noticeably different. And, did Judd Apatow have anything to do with this movie?
I don't think he had anything to do with it.
I don't think he had anything to do with it either. Which, I like Judd Apatow, but I think it's nice to have, like, a break from his comedy. Yeah. And this was really, 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 really funny. And this was the first thing I've seen Channing Tatum in that was not G.I. Joe.
Right.
And
it really makes you like him, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, I've always stood by my opinion, which was he has no charisma. Mm-hmm. And looks uncomfortable when he's in a movie. Yeah. But I kind of don't believe that anymore. Right. And there's a couple of moments in this movie that, I kid you not, like, I was sweating, I was laughing so hard. Like, it was like a workout, man. And so, yeah, I really did enjoy the movie. And I'm looking forward to the sequel. And I don't know why I put it off. I don't know I can't remember what it was, but anyway, I'm glad I rented it.
Yeah, I thought that was a really, really great movie.
I know you had said that you recommended it, and that's pretty much all I heard was you need to see it, and I was like, okay, so, but yeah, no, I loved it, so, and then I'll end it with this. Enough Said is I guess it's not his last movie, but it's one of the final movies of James Gandolfini. He died right before this film came out, so it stars him and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and it's a romantic comedy. It kind of hits all the beats you'd expect it to, but this is a really, really interesting role for James Gandolfini, and I think it could have been a really, really unique, or not unique, but it would have been a really good move for him to do something like this in his career. And I I mean, I'm still like broken up that guy's not with us anymore because I just loved him so much. And this movie, there's so much more sensitivity in this performance than in Tony Soprano. I mean, Tony's always guarded, and even when we, the audience, are let into his emotion and into his sort of headspace, he's still guarded. He's still got his guard up. But this, I mean, he just lets it all out, and I think if you like James Gandolfini and you like The Sopranos, check this out just for no other reason than just his performance. I will say this, though. It is a romantic comedy. It's going to hit those beats. You're going to know how it ends the moment it starts. Mm-hmm. But just for Jim alone, check this out. And, I'm heartbroken that we're not going to get to see more like this from him. But
yeah, him being gone is still kind of like a... He's Tony Soprano, man. Like, he's...
Yeah. I still forget. Yeah. And it's like every time I remember, I have to like go through it again and be like, oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm never gonna see another one, you know.
Yeah.
And I think he still has one more movie coming out.
I think he does
with Tom Hardy.
That should be awesome.
But yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
Well, what you got for me, Hooper?
Let's jump into television. Two of these are just small updates. I'm watching 4 shows right now that are currently airing, and 2 of them are Mad Men and Game of Thrones. Mad Men is starting to get more interesting just because I guess it's their final season, so I don't know if they're just doing more stuff, putting Don through different phases of his different things to experience, and maybe some dynamics that are a little more predictable, or a little bit more dramatic. And honestly, it's kind of good for the. I don't know if it's good for the show or not, but I mean, something needs to happen on that show because it's a really good show and it's a really good commentary on today through the '60s. But again, I say that show can be boring, so you kind of got to give it something.
I gotcha.
Half the time I'm watching it, I'm just like, and all Don's stories are fine and they're good, and his stories, his overall experience is interesting, but a lot of times it's just the other side characters. You're just like, why am I watching Betty? Like, why am I still watching her? Like, nothing's going on in her life. Like, I don't know. Game of Thrones. I haven't seen last night's episode. I'm gonna watch that tonight. But that's been good. It's been interesting. A big thing happened, and a lot of what's going on right now is trying to figure out who was involved in the big thing that happened. And certain characters that you used to really hate, you feel sympathy for now, and so that show is doing interesting things. So that remains to be enjoyable. But that's what's tough about talking about a show generally, that episode by episode. I mean, since we're not the Game of Thrones podcast, there's not really much I can really say except, And
if I know Game of Thrones, if they're making a character sympathetic, that means they're going to kill him in like 20 minutes.
There are a couple things that happened recently that aren't in any of the books, which I guess is interesting to point out. But I can't really talk about what they are. If you haven't seen the show, but just a couple of things, like a group of characters ending up in a place that at this point in the books hasn't happened, and then you finding out something about the White Walkers. You find out that isn't in any of the books. Period. So this kind of will begin at least the period of the show starting to invent storylines, which is good and healthy for a show to do, especially when your source material isn't finished.
Yeah.
The books, there's still more novels he's writing, but he's so at this point it's like he either has to follow their model or people are going to start bitching about how it's not different or how it is different. But to be honest, it's like, look, the show's moving, so either write something that we can follow or we're just going to start writing our own thing. And after all, it's based on the book series. It's not supposed to follow the series to the letter.
Right.
So I'm kind of interested to see how that kind of plays out among fans of the books. So
yeah, that's cool because I know like The Walking Dead has always kind of been different from the get-go, but I was under the impression that Game of Thrones was a more straight up adaptation of its source material.
And I think so far it really has been, but this season they've done a couple things where people are like, that is not in the book. Like one character rapes another character.
Oh yeah, I heard
surprise,
about that.
surprise. So they're like, that's not in the book, and that's one of the characters that they've ended up that they've tried to make that over the third season they've had you like him all of a sudden, and then he does that, and then in the next episode it's not really addressed. It seems like they got away with it, and so I'm kind of like, yeah, I guess so, but whatever. I don't know if it's to remind you that you're still supposed to hate him. I don't know. To me, I thought it was an unnecessary move, but half the time people are complaining too much. They're like, I mean, this show has gotten to the point where we're rooting for the death of a 14-year-old boy because everyone hates Joffrey so much. Like, we're rooting for the death of a 14-year-old boy, and we're condoning rape. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, the 14-year-old boy is a malicious, evil, human being who has zero empathy, and he's a sociopath. He you've seen season 1. He kills. He has Ned Stark decapitated, and then I think the first episode of the second season, he takes Sansa and shows him her dad's head on a spike, and throughout the show he continues to just psychologically torture her about the fact that her dad's dead, and constantly references it in front of her on purpose, and he's even admitted to other characters in private that he enjoys torturing her with it. It's just yeah, I'd like him to be killed. I mean, he's a terrible person. I don't care if he's 14. That's that's why you don't have young kings. That's the whole so. So there's a lot of things that go on in that show. There's just we're rooting for the death of a 14-year-old boy. First of all, he's not real, so who gives a shit?
Yeah, he's fictional.
And second of all, he's more than earned it. So,
right.
Sorry. That's what I'll say about Game of Thrones. I started watching Silicon Valley. That's a new show on HBO by Mike Judge, and it's got only person I recognize in it is T.J. Miller, and then the guy who plays Gabe from The Office.
Oh, really?
So, and then a bunch of other... Oh, and Kumail Nanjiani's in there. And then just the main character is this skinny white dude, and he's really soft-spoken. So he pisses me off sometimes, because I'm just just talk.
Just talk, yeah.
But it's basically about these 5 dudes who live in this house in, Palo Alto, basically. And the one dude has, a really good idea for, compression software. And so it's basically about these young guys who now have a startup that they've gotten funded, and so that's interesting because that gets open-ended concepts, because the company can grow and they can have. So it's a solid idea. It's pretty funny, but they got characters I like. It's short. It's a 30-minute show, so it doesn't overstay its welcome, and so I've enjoyed it so far.
Cool.
So I'll keep watching that. And then Mike Judge, of course, has a solid reputation for making things that I like. So
yeah.
Are you what's happening? Are you pooping? Because my leg feels really warm. All right, there's nothing there, but I think I'm gonna get pooped on, Dustin.
It's a HooperCast first.
I've also but not a Dempsey household first, or second or third.
Yeah, for real.
I've been pooped on a lot. So
it happens.
I've also been keeping up with Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I think the last time I mentioned the show, we had just talked about Captain America, and we were wondering how the events of that film would affect the show. It's made the show more interesting, because now they're on the lam, and then one of the main characters is Hydra. So, and it's interesting to kind of watch that dynamic, and then in the last episode, Maria Hill was just in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's made the show more interesting, and there's also continuing unraveling why Coulson's even alive. It's still a big part of the show, and so the show was okay, and then it was pretty good. But then when the Hydra thing happened, it got really good.
Good, because I kind of lost interest in it.
Right.
But I don't even remember how many episodes I watched.
It kind of
5.
Yeah, and
6.
for a while they're all just these storylines, these things about the characters that are just up in the air, and you're like, why should I care? And then right about the Hydra thing, they sort of start coming into play. So a little late in the season for my taste, but it does pay off somehow. I think
good.
The season finale might be tomorrow night or soon. But that show's worth watching. Just the fact that it's longer kind of makes it harder to get through those times. I would just watch it a couple of the weekend, and catch up.
I'll probably catch up on it in between seasons.
Yeah.
Like on Hulu or something. But yeah, I mean, yeah. I wondered how the Hydra thing would play in.
It's and that's one of those things that was the whole premise of the. I mean, everyone of course knew that when they pitched the show, and like they had to tell. Pretty much, I think they said like the writers, Anthony and Joe Russo, and then the guys who were at Captain America 2, were pretty much told like, okay, so here's an interesting concept, and I think the whole Hydra thing was Kevin Feige's idea, like it was his idea. And so he had a concept like, well, what if we did this and it would tie this and whatever. So they said when we were making the, so when Joss started wanting to do the TV show, the conversation was pretty much like, hey, that's great. Here's what's going to happen in Captain America 2. This is 2 years ago. So, I mean, if you're cool, and so Joss of course liked the idea and whatever. So the whole show was of course built knowing that mid-season, as it should, mid-season that their whole organization would collapse.
Sure.
So it's just interesting knowing, like, holy crap, they've known about this for so long.
Right. My question then is, if the show is still going to be called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., what the sort of end result of this whole thing will be?
Yeah.
Because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fine title for the first half then.
Yeah.
And then after that it should be something else, which is, I think it's good that a show becomes more than it was originally thought to be.
Right.
But at the same time, it makes me wonder if they're going to add a subtitle to it, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I think I've seen it in promotional materials. I've seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Uprising. I don't know if that will, I don't know how it gets resolved,
Sure. Yeah.
But I'm interested, so it's enough to keep me hooked for another season. So.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah.
I'll have to catch up.
And the last thing, now that I'm married with children, I've started watching Married with Children with Mrs. Hooper. We decided that we only have time and patience for comedy when I get home from work, and it's short. It's 30 minutes.
30 minutes, yeah.
We got this first season from somebody, and I've been told that I'm a lot like the main character Al Bundy. He's just this, this low income, crotchety, suburban or midtown Chicago dad or whatever. So knowing that I can identify with the main character is a plus. So and it's just a good sitcom. It's one of those that explores topics, and it's good for any audience, but particularly if you're married and if you have kids, it's a little bit more enjoyable. So I plan on, and this has 11 seasons, so it'll take us a long time to get through this.
I did not know it had 11 seasons.
87 to 97.
Holy cow.
So after this, we plan on moving on to Everybody Loves Raymond, and shows like that.
Right.
So we've instilled our future of watching enjoyable things we can identify with, and so
how are you guys? You said you borrowed a DVD.
Someone at work bought the box set, and then they lent us the first season.
I gotcha.
So I'm enjoying that so far. So super retro review on Married with Children. It's crazy because it's just like, oh, okay, Ed O'Neill he's on Modern Family. Oh, and Katie Siegel or whatever is on Sons of Anarchy, and her husband's doing Sons of Anarchy. And it's like, oh, Christina Applegate's Christina Applegate, and then you look at the son, and you're like, what's he doing?
Is that David Faustino?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, that's all I got.
I gotcha. Well, I've got 2 under the television category.
Okay.
Even though our doc says 1.
Okay.
So I'll jump into the one that's on the doc first. So here's my segue, my super awesome segue.
Mm-hmm.
David Faustino plays in The Legend of Korra as a character named Mako.
Uh-huh.
Which, of course, is the sequel to the show I want to talk about, which is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Nice.
So, Avatar: The Last Airbender, I watched leading up to M. Night Shyamalan's movie.
Yeah.
And I've wanted to go back and kind of rewatch it. So I finally broke down and bought the 3 seasons on DVD, even though I said I wouldn't because I'd wait until they were on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like they're going to be putting them on Blu-ray anytime soon. So I sat down and finally finished the 3 seasons of Avatar again. So I don't really have a whole lot to say here other than I'm really struck by the second time through the level of character development in this show. I think it's super individualistic for a cartoon on Nickelodeon to have the level of care and storytelling that show did. Granted, it can be a little childish at times, mm-hmm. but I mean, honestly, some of those characters have better arcs than AMC characters. Wow. I mean, it's just it's a really sophisticated show, and I think it's super important for kids to see because so often kids get to watch like SpongeBob, and SpongeBob's great. I'm not knocking SpongeBob. I grew up on SpongeBob. I love it. But there's no development there. You don't get like a lesson from SpongeBob really, unless it's like what a mollusk is. But with Avatar, I think kids can not only relate to these characters, but they get introduced to character arcs and the character journey very young, and I think that's really awesome. And obviously, there's still a lot for older kids and adults to latch onto too. But anyway, the point I want to make here is if you haven't seen Avatar, I believe it's available on Amazon Prime. Mm-hmm. So viewers out there, check it out because it really is an awesome show. And if you have 30 minutes to kill, just knock out the episodes are 20 minutes apiece. Just knock out one, and I think at least a few episodes into season 1, you'll probably be hooked. And it gets more mature as it goes along. So the first season's going to feel, at least the first few episodes, maybe a little childish, but stick with it. And it really is an awesome show. So that's Avatar. And the last one I want to talk about is Friday Night Lights, mm-hmm. Which I just finished, and I loved every minute of that show. Like, have you seen any of it?
No, I still haven't gotten to it.
Okay. I know John, I think, is on the final season now. Look, Friday Night Lights is a show that is difficult to describe because the title would have you believe that it's about football, but it's not really. I mean, football's sort of the common theme that holds these characters together. It's something they all have in common, but it's really just about the characters and the way that they grow, and the way that they grow apart, and the way that they grow up, and the way that they mature. And so Friday Night Lights did not have a big viewership. So the first season was 22 episodes. NBC at least believed in it that much. Then they cut down the second season to 12 episodes, which was also due to the writer's strike. Then after that, it still didn't have very good ratings. So NBC struck a deal with, I believe it was DirecTV, like the 101 channel or something. Yeah. and they said, okay, let's make 3 more seasons, finish it up, and they'll air on 101, and then after they air there, then NBC will play them. And so that's how the last 3 seasons came about. So here's the interesting thing. The interesting thing is that the show feels different season to season. It's as if each season has its own tone or its own theme or whatever. And basically, the show feels different than anything else I've ever seen on television. It has moments where it seems like a teen drama because it's 2 characters who were friends and now they're getting together, but then now they're broken up, and then now they're kissing in the rain, and then now they're hanging out on the beach with a campfire, which is illegal, I believe. And so it has moments where it feels like a teen drama, but it's really anchored with 2 really phenomenal performances by Kyle Chandler and Connie Britton. And during their final season, Kyle Chandler actually won an Emmy for this role and beat out John Hamm for Mad Men. Oh. It's I had no idea this show existed when it was on television.
Right.
And it's recent. So it's really weird, but anyway, the show's available in its entirety on Netflix. I think maybe on Amazon Prime.
I think it's on.
Not on Hulu.
I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I thought it was. And then also you can buy the DVD. I mean, it's a really, really cool show, and the only thing I can pick at it for is that it's going to take a minute to get used to it, because there are things that happen in that first season where you're like, okay, high school kids don't get to do these things.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to go to parties and be drinking, and they're not going to be buying alcohol so easily. But first of all, it's a fictional story. Second of all, it's set in this town where these football players are heroes, and so they get away with everything. So when you take those 2 things and kind of put them in the back of your mind, it kind of readjusts the show, and you can kind of go with the flow on it. Also, if you're having that hard of a time with it, just imagine they're in college rather than high school, and it has the same effect. Only, I mean, the characters don't look like they're in high school anyway, so there you go. But anyway, okay, so the show has some really, really awesome character arcs. Taylor Kitsch won me over, which I think I've probably even said on this podcast that I didn't feel like he was leading man material.
Right.
I disagree with myself now. I just think he hasn't had the right shot at it. I mean, I like John Carter for what it was, but I think he has a lot of acting chops that he's not getting a chance to show off, and then obviously all the other characters too. I mean, there's not really a bad seed in any of them, and also it's interesting because there's a lot of carryover from Breaking Bad. I don't know if the show had like a common casting director or something, but yeah, Jesse Plemons is in it. The girl that plays Andrea on Breaking Bad. There's a lot of people, and it's really strange, but also awesome. So anyway, yes, if you like Breaking Bad, you'll at least be entertained. I feel like genuinely anybody will like this show. I don't say that very much, but I genuinely think if you give it a chance, everybody can grab hold of somebody on this show and say that's me, or that is an interesting character at least. And yeah, so there you go.
All right.
It's a great show. I wish it had bigger ratings when it was on. I wish they would make a movie, but at the same time, it ends very enjoyably and it feels complete. So don't go in worried that you're going to get shafted and there's not going to be an end, because there definitely is an end. So yeah, there you go.
Okay. Well, cool.
Yay!
Well, finally got to those retro reviews, so that's good.
I know we covered a lot of junk.
We did. That is all we have time for this this iteration of HooperCast. Stay tuned for more HooperCast in the future. What did you get no answer about?
HooperCast Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past, Days of Future Future, and Days of Future Now.
Days of Future Cast, if you will.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Yeah. Days of Future Cast. Days of HooperCast.
Days of Future. Days of HooperCast.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
We need to make a t-shirt.
Yeah. We have a lot of t-shirts we need to get manufactured.
We have a lot of t-shirt ideas. Guys, if you'll contribute a little bit or just, promise to buy them, we might make some.
Yeah, I mean, if you could just put it in writing that you pretty much, commit to buying them so that we can sue you if you don't, that'd be nice.
Exactly.
To do. Alright, well, goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.